and people that know him refer to him as the weatherman. So I'd ask Chris to unmute himself, and Chris would be the best one to introduce himself. So if you could go ahead, Chris, and tell us why we've got you here tonight. It's two parts, isn't it? We're talking about the weather on one side, and we're talking about ham radio.
That's correct.
So which one do you want to start with?
Let's talk ham radio first, because the other one's going to go a bit longer.
Okay, doke.
Okay, so what I've been doing with the CLC here in South Australia, I've had a few meetings already. I've got another meeting coming up on the 13th of December, and I will be bringing along an expert in ham radio to talk to everyone. So I've got ham radio at the moment, but what we're using it for is communicating in regards to being safe if we get locked down again, so that we can actually contact each other with our phones and things like that. So that's the type of thing I'm doing over here. I've just got myself a hotspot, which will make my car a mobile worldwide amateur radio station.
Okay, so what sort of reach would you have, Chris?
With some of the hotspots we have, we're going through phones into the hotspot onto the radio, and your phone is used like a Wi-Fi, and we can go worldwide.
So what happens if you don't have a phone?
You just use your device with a hotspot.
So what's a hotspot?
Hotspot is where you're making an internet connection, and the other way is if you don't have a phone, you're using repeaters, which these ham radios reach all over the state.
Okay, so is that because they make up a sort of a web and they relay each other's signal? Is that the sort of thing that's happening there?
Yeah, that's the type of thing that's happening. Is what we're going to do is we're going to have a few people that have got ham radio. There's 4 in our group with amateur licenses, and what we do is communicate with the normal CB to the rest of the people that haven't got ham radios.
So for people that, I don't know, there might be younger people who haven't heard of this before, but CB, that's Citizen Band Radio?
That's correct. That's UHF. That's how we used to always do it with the 27 meg radios. That's how it used to all be.
Now, they don't work without a foxtail, do they?
You have to have an error on the roof, most definitely.
It's got to have a foxtail on it, hasn't it, or it doesn't work?
No.
No? Oh, that's all the ones that I've seen.
Leave the foxes alone, thank you. So yeah, that's the sort of thing that we're doing over here. Hang on, I'm just looking here. Do we download on that? No. First of what you do with the ham radio, it's a bit different than normal UHF citizen band, where it's there's no license needed. With the ham radio, you actually need to have a license. So it can be expensive, this little field, but at the same time, with those that can do it, we can be like people that can talk to others. We can talk to each state with the ham radio.
Okay, so there'd be a reason why you have to have a license. Is that because you can operate in frequencies that are otherwise dedicated to something else? So they have to have a way to regulate you?
Yes, it is, but also at the same time, it takes away all the idiots and all the people that just annoy you while you're on the ham, like on the CBs. You know, people just clicking their buttons, holding it down. You know, it's pretty shocking actually. The world of CBs these days. You know, in Adelaide, it's really shocking. It's really shocking. It's like testosterone plus.
Okay, so you've just got interference agents.
Yes, basically. So when you're trying to do something, but we have found that there are 3 more repeaters here. So being a part of the ham radio side of things, they've sort of let 2 of their repeaters go to these people so they can carry on like pork chops. And there's 3 other repeaters that the local people can use that's not got these people on it. So they've sort of hidden 3 repeaters from them.
So, well, why can't they find them?
Well, there's no one on them talking, and they all stick to one channel.
Okay.
They think they own it, so they think they own it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to a Mad Max world, or let's not, but let's just think about that for a moment. So we don't have any internet, we've got no telephones, and you've got somebody in the back room on a push bike. So, and they're giving you some electricity. So what sort of reach do you have with that?
You can go worldwide again. It's that's HF radio.
Now, would I be able, let's say that I was somewhere and I might not have the ability to communicate because I'm limited in, but I've got a crystal radio. Would a crystal radio set have the capability of picking up a signal?
Well, it depends on your aerial, where you are, the height of your aerial. The HF side of things is brilliant. Like you can definitely get out with HF, but then we've got to make sure
Okay,
that.
so HF is just high frequency.
It's just a special band, yes.
Yeah, but it's called high frequency, and then UHF is ultra high frequency.
Well, it goes lower. It actually goes lower. Goes lower. There's some bands we can't use at all. But yeah, it's mainly for communication. So, you know, if I'm driving into town and, you know, we've got people that are front line, we can keep an eye on them, you know.
So how secure is it? If we wanted to have some sort of secure communication, is that a possibility?
Not really. Not really. They've been listening to us no matter where we are. We live in houses that we think are our houses, but they're actually jail cells without bars.
Yeah.
So they know where we are. They know what we do. It's just a matter of us being able to communicate to each other, and that one know the other is okay, that type of thing. So,
okay. So if I wanted to, say I've got nothing, right, and I want to set up, what's the minimum cost?
Cost is that you could usually go around to look for second-hand ones, but it would be in a range for just a normal CB. Handheld would be from $80 to $120. Could go up for any, you know, they're only 5 watt, and that's the limit.
Is that the sort of one that I'd have mounted in the dash of the car or something?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And go up to about $300, $400. I've got one that's a GME, 80 channel. You know, I picked it up to 1 second hand for $100, and I got the other one to $263.
So is it possible that the most expensive part of your equipment might be the aerial?
Yes, yes, and the lead going up to it. So that's
what sort of length are we talking? Are we talking about like 5 meters or?
Yeah, 15 meter length. So you can usually go up in the air about 10 meters. So that's with a ham radio license. But in the build-up areas, if you can get to the roofs of some of these places, you know, that's what we'll go into when people are finally deciding that they want to do this. Then we'll get into how to making the aerials or what we need to do there. But I'm going to bring in an expert to help us out at the SA field, because I've only been a ham operator for about 4 months, 4 or 5 months. So having a professional talk about it. There's also ways that we can use our phone and go through a different system through, like at home with the internet. But I want to ask someone. I think we have to have a license for that too. But then you can actually sit in your house, use your Wi-Fi, and use your phone. So you don't actually have to buy a machine. You use your phone.
Yeah, yeah.
So you still get your license, which is about $300. But if you're not going to go into getting the full radios and things, you can use your phone at home with a few different servers, and you connect from while you're watching your computer.
Yeah, so your phone's your CB.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. So how much are we looking at costs? License is about $300. We don't have to use code names. You will get a call sign. You won't have a name. Like my call sign is VK5, Alpha X-ray. So the 5 in the VK is the state I'm in. New South Wales is 4. You know, Victoria 3, Queensland. Like that's how that works. Okay,
so why did you get a ham license, right? Why did you get a license?
Communicate with people.
Yeah, but what? You've got a phone, and look at this. We got Zoom. Why do you need that for?
Because I can talk to other people. I can call someone in America and ask them to look out the window what's going on right now, and it's just a random.
On your radio.
Yeah, I can sit there all night talking to people. They were used in World War I and World War II for this exact reason, to communicate. The underworld would have used them. They would have used Morse code, which is harder to grab hold of.
Yep.
So we can use that also with this thing. You can have a Morse code as well. But it was used in World War I and World War II for communications for people, not just military.
So when you're using your radio, how hard is it, or I suppose, is it easy for somebody to trace where the signal emanates from?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yep. Same as your radio, same as your TV, same as your phone. Exactly the same. They're tracking devices.
Yeah.
But the radio, you can't be tracked on the radio until you push the button.
Yeah.
And then you go off from there. So you could go 5 miles away transmit and go home.
Yeah.
And they think you're in that transmitting spot, but you're not. You're 5 k's away.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different. It's a little bit off scope. So like I said, I could drive 10 miles away, use my radio, and then drive back. So,
but if we had, let's say they decided that COVID-19 wasn't a thing, so we're going to have an EMP, we're going to have an electromagnetic pulse. So will your radio still work in that situation?
yes, because you just put in a battery, solar cell, and off you go.
Okay.
You just have batteries.
Or like I said before, you can have someone on the push bike and.
That's right. You have your mouse on the wheel, off they go, and that's how you can do that. That's no problems.
Okay. So when I was asking you why you got your license before, what I was sort of getting at is, are you thinking that there might actually be a need to have that radio rather than just say a hobby or as an alternative, but you might actually require that?
Well, I got it because I sit with my dad and he watches TV and I sit out the back and then I can talk to people. But it got to a point where the people I was talking to around the world are like-minded. You know, they're like-minded people all over the place.
Yeah.
And they're the people we touch base with. So not only are we starting to use ham to spread the truth in regards to what's going on right now, I'm hearing the same thing coming back to me from other parts of the world.
Oh, okay.
So that's another bonus. So we know that there's other people over there with the same motion. But one fellow that I was talking to the other day, he was doing the same thing, saying, we have to use this to tell the truth because we've got it's like a little a code of conduct. Where you be respectful, you tell the truth. And you know, that's the code of conduct on ham radio. So if things are happening really badly and the news all goes off, we can actually find out what's happening in other parts of the world. I can go to England, France, Canada, Germany, all in one night if I want.
Okay. Now, I just noticed that somebody's asked a question. What does ham mean? Is that an acronym or?
Yeah, we'll just have a look here.
Is it hand? Oh, he's using Google.
I'm using Gibberoo.
Gibberoo. Oh, what's Gibberoo?
It's just another
search engine?
Yep.
Okay. How do you spell that? Gibberu?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Ham radio is someone who enjoys attention of others and will do crazy things to get it. Yeah, well done. The Ham Institute in Stilisham or something. Let me get it right.
Okay, we'll offer a prize to the first one to come up with a good definition. But I think it's what we were talking about last night and just general awareness. We don't know what's coming up for us in the next 6 months, 12 months or whatever.
Yep.
And one of the things that I think a number of people would have floating around in their head somewhere, it's probably occurred to them, is what if we can't communicate with each other? And how do we know if people that we've connected with, like from right here, we're right across Australia and into New Zealand, and there could be someone from somewhere else, I don't know. But if our communication system that we're using went down, then we'd be going, well, what happens? How do I get onto them? There's some people right now that I'd like to know where they are and how they are, and I don't have any way of contacting them. So, but maybe through the radio I could contact them because they wouldn't be identified because they're on a radio.
Yep. Someone else has got a question there. Have the authorities looked like interfering with this mode of communication? No. They've actually started a new form, a digital radio. So it's sort of breaking everyone away and putting everyone in little groups. So it's sort of, to me, it looks like they are dividing the community in that respect. So even with the ham has been going for a long time, EMPs no matter what. So you whack your battery on and off you go again. So most people are just using this ham radio at the moment through digital, with many different chat relay programs and areas to go to.
Yeah. Well, we've got like those hand operated like generator things now for charging batteries and things like that. So this is the sort of thing that can work off that. Yeah,
I've got a torch that I do the same thing with. So yeah.
That's a PZO, isn't it? I think they call that.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. So when push comes to shove, we've got a system that we can still communicate worldwide without having any electricity. So if the world went dark, we've still got a way to communicate with people and have some idea of what's going on elsewhere.
Yes, yes. That's what I thought. Like asking the people in America and you know what's going on, and it's quite good to hear.
So if I said, without going through everything that you hear, just say in the last week, is there anything that you've heard through the ham radio that you wouldn't have been aware of otherwise?
Not that I'm not myself personally not aware of, but the many people that are listening are not aware of.
Yeah.
So yes,
So can you find out like what people are thinking in the States? Just the
yeah, they're all thinking exactly the same. Flu vaccines, Trump, the fraud. People just trying to connect. You know, there's a few guys out there that are talking about it, and they always ask for my opinion. So I'll give them my opinion. You know, I'll tell them about the Constitution being taken from Australia. They're saying the same things happening there. So it's yeah.
So when you would have heard me when you came on, because I got my own little, I don't know if it's a drum I beat or whatever, but it's just where you end up. I can't see any lawful authority anywhere, and I see that at some point we just got to get to the point where we don't comply.
Yes.
Don't do what they say, and be a real pain.
Yep. So that's sort of that. That's you know, I think it's good for us here in Adelaide. We're going to do it anyway, so at least we can contact each other from there, or wherever someone breaks down, we can go and pick them up. You know, I know what you're saying about the phone, but you know, most people are trying to get away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Amateur radio operator. That's correct. Look there. That's not a problem to look there. That's everything we need to know from there.
Yeah. Okay. So what we can do, if people are interested in doing that, we can make sure that you can connect up with Chris, and then I'm sure that there's a community that you can patch into. Is that an appropriate term, Chris?
Yeah, it is. What we might do is I might have another one where I actually go down to town, and we get someone who's more experienced than me. Which is what I'm doing with the CLC at Lonsdale. I'm taking someone out there so we can ask specific questions to him to answer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll give people a bit more of a heads up. We'll try and have like a week lead in, so that where I can put the message out a bit, so that people can come through and then they can get a bit more knowledge about how to operate a ham radio, what's involved, and like for some people, it might be a backup, and you'd hope it to be a backup they never have to use.
Mm-hmm.
But it's there. It's a bit like the old insurance policy, isn't it?
It is. Well, if you've got
pay the premium, but you don't want to use it.
If you've got someone who's being followed by cops and things like that, and they have a radio on, we can actually, you know, just keep them driving until we can find them, position themselves, and get someone down there so we can start filming, or at least that person will have someone else waiting for them when they arrive to stop and let the cops come out. So that's all. That's the type of thing we're looking at as well.
Yeah. So, okay. No, that sounds good. That sounds good.
So from where I am, I'm 200 k's, 300 k's from town, 300 k's from the city, and I'm a lot of driving's in between. So I want to make sure when I drive from here to town that I'm in contact with someone, and it doesn't matter if it's in another part of the country or overseas. These are like emergency stations as well. So if an emergency thing cuts in, everyone listens, and then they go from there to contact the proper people from there.
Over time, I remember seeing, and I have no idea what the movie was called, but a movie where there was actually ham radio operators were looking after somebody that was in trouble, and the messages were being relayed all over the world.
Yep.
So, but they were able to keep somewhere or other. They had a net, and they were always able to get communication through.
Yep.
So, and that's what we're looking at.